Daniel graciously said we can build a retirement home on the back of his property. Here is his house, here's where our house will be. They say you build a house twice, once on paper and then in real life. Here is the plan on paper, 800 square feet. Here is the location in real life. It has an open plan with lots of windows and a view. This will be the view from the living room and the sunrise from the kitchen. We started clearing the vegetation a couple years ago, very overgrown, removing a black locust tree and its extensive root system. In the spring of 21, we began leveling the land next to where the house would go. This would become our work site for the construction phase. Let me swing around to see the whole site and the two dogs. The stakes mark the edge of the house. This is the back of Daniel's property. This stake shows where the west side of the house will be. We did landscaping next to the neighbor's property. This is next to where the house will go. Jonathan did most all of the excavation. 3 feet down, we hit clay, which made for slower digging. For the landscaping part, we dumped 25 loads of dirt onto Jonathan's property. We had to put in a 250-foot road into the back, new fences and gates, placing railroad ties on the edges of the gravel road. There was a lot of slope where the road will go. We built this up and leveled it. We tarped it and secured it with 35 tons of rock. That's 70,000 rocks, hand-placed by many family members. This is what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. A lot of work, but we're quite pleased with it. Grandpa Jim helped deliver 120 railroad ties, which we also use for landscaping. This gives us a level place next to the house. Daniel wanted his raised garden beds. We also put in beauty bark to minimize maintenance. In the summer of 21, we received the building department's approval for the site and architectural plans. Chris used his drone for the aerial footage. We began excavation of the actual construction site, leveling the site, putting in the form boards, rebar, and gravel for the foundation. The first concrete pour was the footer. Now for the fun. Big boy Legos, known as ICF blocks. These went up rather quickly. The second concrete pour was the stem walls. Here's Jonathan pumping it in. The slab was the third concrete pour. Andrew came up with some of his employees. Andrew says he loves to pour concrete. This is where we started. This is where we are now. We put in French drains and waterproofing around the back, then filled it in with rock and dirt. The foam insulation is tarped for the winter. It sits like this until we begin framing in the summer of 22. Before framing the house, we need utilities and a road. Started with trenching. From the house, we had to dig a trench all the way up to the foundation. And then we put in the conduit, so a sewer line, a water line, an electric line. This went in the trench all the way down, and then we connected it to the main house. Then we backfilled the road, filled in the trench, and it made quite a mess, especially in the winter. We put down ground cloth and gravel, and John brought many truck loads of gravel from the quarry. You can see him emptying it and coming back and forth. I think there must have been at least 15 loads, spreading it. It was a little challenging because the road was quite wet. Here you can see everyone's involved, even Josiah there, in spreading the gravel. Then we had to put in drain pipes around the foundation, both for the downspouts, but also the French draining in the back. So here is on the one side of the house, we put it in, and there you can see it completed. And then on the other side of the house, again, dug a trench and put in the pipes, sealed them up, and filled them. And then, of course, the lumber delivery once the road was done. And you can see John and Chris putting all the lumber up on site. Andrew was the one that went and bought it all. And so here we're waiting now for framing. Now we've begun phase 3, the framing of the home. The boys put all the material on site before we returned in June of 2022. We began by framing up the lower walls, which is the garage and the workshop. And then from there we put on the floor joists. Here's a shot from the air. This is all of Daniel's property, and we're in the back, right here. We're on a hill, and so we have a nice view. And here are some of Andrew's workers. They came up to help with the subflooring. And then we moved all the material up to the upstairs, and then began building the walls of the main floor. We then went on to the electrical. So Scott and Dave and Norm came up. This was a lot of work done in the lower floor while Norm and I were framing up the walls in the upper floor so that they could run all the electrical wire. They got a lot done, and so we're pleased with that. Here's the crew, a lot of work done. And here's a view from the inside looking out, and us again having fun. Now we're waiting for the next stage, which will be the trusses. The trusses came in up our road, and then they proceeded to, with a boom truck, bring them and set them in position. They put them in 2 stacks up on the top plate of the house, and that was on the 21st of July, and that evening a group from Sunrise Church came to begin putting up the trusses and putting on the roof. They first started with the gable ends, and then from there, once they had those straight and secure, they started putting in all the trusses. You can see here how it looks. They did a great job. This was all done in the first morning, setting all these trusses. After they completed this, we then moved to the sheeting. Deanne painted all the boards that went up first, and then the sheeting came. John brought his boom truck and dropped all the sheets on the roof. These guys were like mountain goats up there working. And then the next morning, early morning, we started in on the roofing. And God gave us beautiful weather, cool day, overcast the whole morning. And so after dropping the roofing, then they began to lay the underlayment and then do all the roofing, as you can see here. After finishing up the roofing, then we went and finished the remaining walls on the inside and the out, and here's what it looks like now. So now we're at the point of waiting for the next stage, which is the inspection of the framing. Welcome back to our ADU project. We're in phase 4 now. The inspection went well in the fall of 2022, and we wanted to get the house wrapped with the windows before returning to Turkey. The Tyvek wrap and the first 10 windows went in smoothly. The remaining 8 picture windows were more challenging. We needed the scissor lift to get to the upper windows. This phase started with the siding in July 2023. We decided to pre-paint the siding before putting it up. Jonathan led this project, and Andrew sent up some TI employees to help put it up. Here you can see us on the west side of the house. We needed the scissor lift in order to put up the upper siding. And we moved to the south side, and here's the crew working on it. Because of the doors and windows, there was not a lot of work to do on the south side. Then we moved to the back side, and we decided to do a Murphy bed pop-out. So I asked for permission, and it was approved. So you can see the pop-out right there to allow the Murphy bed a little outside of the room. And then on the north side, we started again putting up the siding, as you can see here. Eventually, we needed to set up scaffolding in order to reach the upper section. And this was probably the most difficult side of the house to do the siding for. There you can see it almost finished. So 2 sides are basically done. Now we went to finish up the rest of the front. There you can see the south side is now finished. and we finished the painting. So then we went to the last side, which was the east side. A team from Bellingham came to help. Here's Norm and Dave finishing up that side with the painting, and here's the whole team with all the siding done and the gutters. We also worked on radiant floor heating, and Dave actually came down for this as well earlier in the summer. And it was a lot of work running almost 900 feet of PEX piping in all of the bays. Here you can see what it looks like. The radiant floor heat done, we moved on to insulation, and Dave helped again in this. We had a lot of insulation. We started in the downstairs workshop and then moved over to the garage. Then we moved upstairs, and the ceiling was the most difficult part, as we had to put on 2 layers of insulation to get R49, which is code. Jonathan helped with putting in the heat pump. We put the lines in the wall, and here's the outdoor unit. From there we went to putting in a pathway, which involved designing it, and then with railroad ties and pavers working our way up. Here's Daniel working on it. Hunter also joined us to help out for a couple days, and here's Deanne's parents. The sheetrock was the only job that I said we wouldn't do, so we paid a company to deliver all the sheetrock. That's over 160 sheets of 4x12 sheetrock, and they had quite nice toys to deliver it. Andrew then arranged for a team of guys to come up and do the actual hanging of the sheetrock. 3 guys, took 2 days to hang it all, and then a different person came in to do the actual taping. And the taping and sanding, that took almost 10 days of work, with taping and then letting it dry, and then putting on more mud and letting it dry. Same team from Bellingham came down to do the painting, and here's Ron. They spent 3 days prepping and painting. He had to put on 1 coat of primer and then 2 finish coats, working his way through the whole house. It was amazing. The other guys helped with taping everything up and then the cleanup afterwards. They also were able to paint the doors, the pocket doors, and here's the whole crew at the end of their time. Scott was 1 step behind the painters, installing lights and fixtures and plugs. Some of the work you can see. Most of his work is hidden in the walls or the fuse panel, as you see here. Team finished on Friday, and then all the appliances were delivered on Monday, but we're basically done for now. In the spring of 2024, we'll start up again with the cabinets, flooring, and all the remaining finish work. And then it's on to the final inspection. Well, we're at the final stage of this accessory dwelling unit. And we started with the front porch. We had just used it for construction purposes, but now we removed all that to put on Trex flooring. And you can see the flooring and then skirting around it to keep the dogs from digging underneath it. But we also needed a railing. So I went down to Andrew's house and bought the metal, and Andrew welded it all up, and then we polished it all, brought it up, and then painted it. And then we had the fun part of putting on the wire in it every 4 inches. That morning of the inspection, the wire had never arrived, so I had to run down and get wiring. So early morning, I'm putting it all together. Deanne had to come down and help me tighten it up so that all of them were tight. One real blessing was having Kevin and Lori and their girls come to do the kitchen cabinets from Sunrise Church. The guys made the cabinets before coming, but then in one day on the weekend they came and this is what it looked like, and now they're going to put cabinets in. They built all the boxes and then brought them down, and here you can see us all working together to install it. I think we were more observing them doing all the work, but it was really fun to put it together and work together. Kevin's parents were missionaries with OM, and so Kevin was born in India and then grew up in Belgium and went to school there, and that's where he learned cabinetry. So it was fun to get to know them as a family and also to put this kitchen together. It's amazing. It's just unbelievable. There's the three of us. Jonathan helped out during the whole time, and there's his whole family. Well, his son's not there. After they left, we then went on to install the appliances, the stove and the microwave and the refrigerator and the dishwasher. They had done everything up to that, but we had to do the final installation of those. Even John's son, Luke, was up there doing all the microwave. Then we had the countertops come. We chose quartz, and I didn't know it was that heavy. This piece is 650 pounds. Two guys put it all in place, those three pieces, and then after they put them in, then they vacuum glued them and sealed them together. And there you can see it. In a couple hours, they finished all that. Andrew then came up to do the tile. He was our tile guy. And so here he's starting with the kitchen tile. And of course, Jonathan is there helping him as well, setting all the tile. Deanne chose this color. She really likes the color, and there you can see with the grout on it what it looks like. Then they went to the entryway tile, same color of tile, but Deanne wanted to choose where each tile went, which was kind of interesting. Next was the bathroom tile, and we had to do first preparation, putting down the plywood, and then putting the subflooring, the concrete board down and gluing that all down. And then from there, we had to smooth it out so that there was a slope, and we put all the tile in, and then there's where the toilet will go and the sink. And then they went to the wall, putting all the tile on the wall, and it was a lot of work. And then I finished the little tile at the bottom, and we had to support it a little so they wouldn't drop down while they were drying, but there you can see it. I also had the bathroom sink, and Deanne wanted a vanity. So we bought this antique vanity, and then we put a sink on it and put it in place. It just fit. Living room flooring, that was a fun job. Josiah and Luke and Jonathan and myself did it. Actually, they did most of the work. You hardly ever see me in the picture, but they're rolling it out, and Luke was helping to set it, and Josiah was setting the boards out, and John was putting them in place. And so that went really fun and really went fast compared to the tile, that's for sure. But here you can see we're just finishing it up. It didn't take that long at all. The sun's starting to go down. And here's the crew. There they are. Carpet was definitely the fastest job of them all. Deanne and Jim helped roll that out, and it really only took a couple hours. Windowsill, just buy some wood and put it in place. Here we are at Andrew's house, cutting down a black walnut tree. And then after we did that, we loaded it on John's boom truck. We brought it up, had the whole thing slabbed up, and this was 3 years ago. And here's Jonathan cutting the slabs now down to size, running them through the planer, and then sanding them. Quite a job, but eventually here they are in place. We did have to do some final landscaping to get sign off from stormwater, so here we're in the back putting in some black lava rocks, which is really nice. And then we had to put some beauty bark in to cover any plastic that was there. And so Luke, Anna, and Josiah are helping on that. Pavers, that was the last big topic. And so we dumped in 3 yards of sand, smoothed it out. Here's Luke, he was excellent in helping out on this. And Jonathan's running the compactor. And basically all these pavers were left over from Andrew's place, and so we used all those, but then we ran out, so we went and got 3 more pallets of pavers and started putting those in place. And in the end, you can see it's turned out really well. So we've come to the end of the project, but the start of living in the home. So you can see the garage, which eventually will have room for a car, we hope. And then the workshop area, which into a living space. And then on the main living floor, you can see the nice railing there. And then coming into the house, you come right into the dining room, kitchen, and living room. There's a loft area up above. And then here's the living room over here. And what we really like about it is lots of glass and a beautiful view. So we are going to enjoy this, that's for sure. You can even see the Lewis and Clark Bridge in the distance. And then going into the bedroom, this is Deanne and I's bedroom. The quilt that Deanne's mom made when we got married 42 years ago. And then it leads into a bathroom. Everything has pocket doors, safe space. And here is the shower area. Right here, the stacked washer and dryer, toilet, and with a grab bar, and then the sink. We also have a study that can also be used as a second bedroom with a Murphy bed that we'll eventually put in. And that brings you full circle back to the kitchen, looking out to the morning sun there. And again, we are so pleased with the kitchen. It just turned out so nice. We are amazed at God's provision and just very thankful for this home and thankful for all of you who journeyed with us in this process.